Who's a greater person? The person who does the act of goodness or the one that inspires the act of goodness? Now, no doubt, if you have both things, that's the best. That would be, but no doubt, would be the preferred. But what is, if you were to compare one with the other, what is greater? Any thoughts on that?
Are we in Tanya now or what?
Mm-hmm. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad, Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We conclude today the 32nd letter, holy letter from the Alter Rebbe, and conclude as a result the fourth book, Geras HaKodesh, the holy epistles of the Alter Rebbe. Then tomorrow we'll begin what we call Kuntras Achrein, sort of like the latter pamphlet, literal translation. So we'll see, we'll go into finer details of some more esoteric forms of teaching. Although a lot of this might be esoteric, but we're even going to get more esoteric. But in the meantime, we finish off these letters. If you recall, the very first letter was about tzedakah, charity, and how important it is. And it was also connected to prayer. Well, this one is also about tzedakah, about being charitable. We've learned so many different angles of what it means to be charitable and why to be charitable. We've learned about doing it swiftly. We learned about doing it, being charitable in multiple acts of being charitable, right? Not just a one-time large gift, but break up the gift. Each time you give, you're refining yourself. So if you only give once, then it's a one-time act of refinement. If you give many times, then many times of refinement. We spoke about how being charitable brings health, wealth, and family life as only a minuscule kind of benefit. We spoke about how charity actually brings redemption. Redeems not only ourselves, but the collective whole, and brings the ultimate redemption, Mashiach, now. Because you put so much effort into making money. That money could be used for yourself, and here you give it for someone else's needs. Spoke about that. Spoke about the idea of charity is something that doesn't belong to you. Tzedakah comes from the word righteous. You're not giving because you're kind. You're giving because it's the right thing to do that God obliges us. So those are some of the things that we spoke about previously. In the 32nd letter, the Alter Rebbe begins with, may God bless your effort and favor your work of your hands. Well, just as your efforts and the work of your hands in the times of the Holy Temple, bringing an offering would bring an atonement, So here too, the acts of loving kindness also brings an atonement that we should be accepted before God at all times. That everything, even though we might only give up to 20% of our monies, but it sanctifies and elevates everything that's accepted before God. All of it. So may God continue to grant you blessings to fortify your hearts, to be valiant. And the person is generous, stands over generous things. And great is the person that causes one to act and to give, greater than the doer of giving. Wow. Yes, this will be accounted as the act of tzedakah, of charity. As the verse says by King David in Tehillim, that tzedakah emedes la'ad, that his tzedakah, his righteousness, his giving, stands forever. Now, the word stands is a feminine form. It's a feminine form of the word because feminine means a recipient. And here is the one who's acting in the giving is a recipient, meaning the person was aroused by someone else. Back in, what happened is, and what happens now, someone asks you for charity. They aroused you to give, right? In other words, you're the recipient of the person who aroused you. So here the Alter Rebbe would send out shluchim, his agents, to collect funds for those that were in need. So it's not true giving when you will have to be aroused by someone to give. It didn't come from you. Nevertheless, it stands forever, even though you're a recipient merely, meaning recipient that you had to be aroused to give with your pureness of heart. But it still will stand for you forever. Why? Because not only did you give, but you gave generously with a pure heart. And what does it mean that it will stand forever? That it will endure and it will be here until the times of Mashiach, even in times of Mashiach, the resurrection of the dead. Meaning, because at that time, the act of what you did, right? Again, the act you didn't arouse the act, someone else did. Yet it stands forever, and it's manifest the infinite light of God that is encompassing the worlds, which is in the times of Mashiach, will then be revealed. What does it mean to be revealed? Right now, we don't experience, when we're giving, in the act of giving, the infinite of God. We understand it now in our mind's eye because we're learning it, but we're not experiencing it. Well, we will experience it in times of Mashiach. But there needs to be a vessel in order that you can have vested in the act. You need a vessel that will maintain or contain the infinite, just like the body's a vessel for the soul, right? So likewise, for the experience of the Ein Sof, that we should be able to experience it, we need something that will contain it. So what will it be? And another metaphor he gives over here is like fire. Fire, the only reason fire is contained by anything is because there is a wick to hold on to it, holds on to it, and therefore it will illuminate. It has to be attached to something. in order that there should be a divine flame, that we should be able to be consumed by it. So the body and the vessel of God's light is the attribute of kindness and generosity of the heart. Now there's the act of giving, but that's not sufficient. It needs to be done with kindness and generosity of the heart. That you're doing it to give to someone who has nothing of his own, just like a pauper, right? Nothing of his own. So you can give, but here we're talking about doing it with generosity of the heart in order that it stands forever. Means you're doing it with a smile, you're doing it with empathy to the one that you are giving to. And that kindness is like the right arm. The right arm is the main arm that contains the rest of the body, so to speak, includes the mainstay of the body. And this is the garment for the act of charity. That the charity, you will get the reward for it. And the reward for it here means that the infinite light of God will illuminate you. It will be done in accordance to the kindness that you've done that charity with. Wow. This is why it says about charity that you sow it and your reward is reaping. Because when you harvest, that's a manifestation of the seed that was hidden in the soil. Likewise, charity and kindness that we do in the time of exile, it's hidden in the soil, hidden in this world, until we reap it in times of Mashiach, when the Ein Sof light of God will radiate the physical world, and we will experience then in the physical reality of this world that which we sowed, right? In our act of charity that was done with true generosity of kindness of heart, in giving. Wow. This is why charity here is also called tzedakah with a hey, which is a feminine form. As we quoted earlier, that charity stands forever is also feminine form, because you're receiving the radiation, because you're a recipient of this light of God, means that's feminine, right? Feminine. The feminine quality is a recipient, right? That we become a recipient because we were not we became a recipient of the motivation, right? We then gave to a recipient who doesn't have, and we did it with an act of, not just an act, but of loving kindness, and therefore we become the recipient of that divine light times Mashiach. But then there is where the verse in Tehillim Psalm says, Tzedek Yahalech Lefanav Yahalech. And that's all masculine form, not tzedakah, tzedek. That's masculine form. Yahalech is masculine. Lefanav is masculine. Meaning the kindness that you're doing was not something that you're a recipient of, wasn't someone that, inspired you to give. You inspired yourself. That's masculine, right? How did you do that? Through prayer. You pray to God in such a manner that you arouse in your own heart to give, rather than someone else had to arouse within you to give. A much loftier level, right? You read the Shema, you cleave to God, you surrender, you completely give yourself over to Echad, as we say in the Shema, the oneness of God. And then you love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and b'chol meidecha, with all of your wealth. So what will the result of that kind of prayer bring? That you're going to give. You're going to give because you arouse within yourself that that's what my wealth is all about, is only to give. Now, wealth doesn't mean you're a millionaire. Wealth means whatever you have that you're giving. And then that will reflect back to you. Just as you aroused it within yourself through your prayer, right? So now from on high, we'll reflect back the same thing. And that will express a manifestation of the downflow of the Ein Sof that encompasses all the worlds. That will also be then experienced at times of Mashiach. The difference will be between the two forms of charity, one that was aroused through someone else and one that was aroused through your own efforts, is that the one who was aroused will also get in the times of Mashiach, but only a mere glimmer of the Ein Sof. Whereas a person who was aroused on their own, others came from within, they're going to again also from within the divine order of things, the from within level, not the glimmer, not what exudes outward, but what is truly inward of the Ein Sof, that will be revealed to, wow, to that person's aroused on their own. And this is the mystical meaning of the words tzedek yahalech lefanav, that the charity, the kindness that you do will go lefanav, before him, before God. Before means from within, lifnai v'nim, within. I was not the glimmer that, like the shine from the face, and there is from within the face, inside, right? A deeper part. That's where it will come from. Before the countenance. Wow. Now, we just ran a charity matching campaign, and many of you gave. And I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And some of you actually gave that you didn't wait for me to repeatedly ask you, or even one time ask you. You saw it, you responded. Self-motivated. That's amazing. Yet some people need motivation, right? And that's okay. It's not as powerful. It's not as, deep awareness. That comes when we pray. We get a deeper awareness of our connection to God, and therefore everything I have is only but to serve God. That comes from within, which, takes effort. We're a work in progress. So when you give from your wealth, as I said, just means from what you have. And the truth is, someone who's, as our sages say, who is a wealthy person? Someone who is satisfied with their lot. Because if you have $1 million and you're not satisfied, then you're not wealthy. Then what you have is all wealth. But if you're satisfied with your lot, then you're wealthy. So when you recognize that this is what I've been given, that doesn't mean you don't strive for more, right? But there's an appreciation, being satisfied with what God has given. And when you have that, then you're wealthy. All right. Any questions? I don't see. Let us say hello. To Michael in Germany, Akoy in Lima, Peru, Carmen in Texas, Trish in Ohio, Joe in Washington State, Liba and Davida in New York, Amelita, Clem in Brisbane, Australia, Daphne in South Carolina, Diane in Arizona, Tim in Texas, Yasim in Turkey. Who else is with us? Ken in Colorado, Stan in London, England, Devorah Khanna in Pennsylvania, John in North Carolina, Leah in Florida, Alex in I'm not certain where.
It's one floor down. One floor down there? Yeah. To your right.
Who else is with us? Eugenia in Calgary. Alex is with us. Zar in Malaysia. Alex is in Toronto. Okay. Patricia is with us. Marina in Colorado. In Sedona. Gosia. Did I pronounce that right? Mordechai, Massachusetts. Oh, the screen is freezing up. Ooh. No, okay. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, I think. All right. Wonderful. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zurich in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you